In the beginning. Part 1. The Old Gods. In the beginning there was a great Oh, who am I kidding? I don't know much more than you about the story I'm living. If I'm born to be noble or am truly indignant. All I know is as I'm told, as I've heard and envisioned, it's the story I've heard that was heard from a bird, was whispered from my grandma and which she heard from hers. It's a story about what everything means, about all that we see and even what isn't seen. But even in this tale, in which so much can be said, about the things that we know we don't see, it's limited yet, and I wonder aloud as I'm speaking to none, if this tale is worth the time that it took to be spun. This story I tell began not from a bang. In the start there was nothing, no yin and no yang. What a silly idea, and to this I agree. But just trust me, it makes sense in this alt history. This nothing was peaceful, this nothing was wise, it was fearless and frightless, no teeth and no eyes. But the nothing one day it decided to dream, and lo, when it did, that changed everything. It could no longer be canned, and it had to expand. So from nothing came one, and from one came the two. And from two came an explosion into endless infinitude. The Big Bang, as it were, God speaks, Zarathustra, Zeus, from the mountains brought the day like a rooster. And in one tiny corner of this garden of light came a sun and a moon, carving out their own day and their night. The moon gleaming purple, the sun shining white, they laughed and they danced all day and all night. And since they created both twilight and dawn, they stayed up forever, to sing and to fawn, to journey through galaxies, watch all the stars, saying, I love you, and what's mine is ours. Sun made the light, and moon made the dark, and from them the gas giants they made from a spark. It was wonderful, they reckoned, they were perfectly matched. Sun would have ideas which moon would perfectly hatch. On adventures and journeys they lived in their bliss, for this was the only life they knew to exist. And their romance, they thought, it would last forever, or at least till the dream stopped dreaming at this end never. But like all things, this one changed with time. And after sun and moon made the comets and planets, 9 of them, all in a line. After Mercury and Pluto and Venus and Mars, what came next would put a new marker to start. For when moon gave birth, this time it was different. This new planet was something omniscient. It was special, and though it looked just like a rock, she knew if she were nurtured, she could grow to be quite a lot. So tucked very deep in her shadowy darkness, moon kept the earth safe, though in starkness. And for years earth she grew from a rock, a small core, all alone in the darkness. She wished for much more. After heating and cooling, much abduction, subduction, her mountains they parted, and after years she erupted. As her vision it cleared, and her seas started swelling, life appeared on her valleys, all over her dwelling. And moon, though she knew earth could not forever be hidden, kept her in the darkness, to leave she forbid it. So while on earth life started climbing, and finally then walking, and swimming and slowly then started talking, moon kept her hidden away from the sun. You must never see him, this I do shun. And all through it all, with earth hidden in shadow, sun gave gifts to moon, he was so enamored, and blissful and joyous in love with his dear, not realizing she was hiding something ever so near. And one day when sun came with a box full of stars, frosted with ice and supernova charge, he saw moon from behind hunched over something hidden, and sun snuck up on her and asked her what this is. Moon laughed and said nothing, and sun he believed her, he had no reason not to, in those days either. And for many eons, sun kept bringing comets and stars to keep on a shelf that were all labeled ours. And one day, sun, after journeying for long, he saw moon hunched over and singing a song. Quite curious, the sun, thinking Moon was singing a present to him, snuck up on her, which he then regretted. And Moon, seeing the look on his face of confusion, of hurt, when he learned for so long Earth had been hidden, Moon apologized, but Sun had become disillusioned. Their romance was done. Sun was no longer smitten, for Sun now was only enamored with Earth, who was so very beautiful, with blue skies and red dirt, and so very different from all that he knew, so very perfect and honest and true. So while Moon said I'm sorry and smiled and laughed and twirled and tried to get Sun to dance, Sun looked upon her and both of them smiled, the first time they had smiled at each other in a while. You lied, said the Sun, and again I forgive, but the trust that you've broken I cannot forget. So Earth simply watched as Moon and Sun grew apart, and in the days Earth would see Sun, and at night with Moon she would depart. For a time they were civil, Sun and Moon, till one day Sun looked upon Earth and thought that he knew how to make Earth better, clearer and wise. He made gods for her lands, to organize her tides, to till all her gardens and make her fields green. He thought he had done well, but this Moon did not see. If he thinks he can cure you and make you all better, I'll show him. He doesn't know you from the weather. And so Moon, she created some gods of her own, the darkness to balance the light she was shown. While Sun's gods were boisterous, Moon's were quite quiet. While Sun's gods were fierce, Moon's were icy and mild. So Sun created Eagle to rule over the sky, and Dragon the mighty with his quickness and mind, while Moon, she brought Snake to tunnel and squirm, and Spider to weave webs that all could observe. Sun, he made Raccoon so clever, and Bee so small with a stinger, you see. And Moon, she made the tree of life, and she made conception, while Sun made the tree of knowledge and wisdom. And Moon, she made winter, while Sun made the spring, and Moon made the rain. And Sun couldn't think, but then, and then Sun, he made man. And Moon stopped and gawked. She could not understand. What are you doing? Moon quietly asked. I made a man to order it all back. And man will make technology in cities and towers. Man will bring peace, and man will bring power. Moon slunk away, and Sun grew in power as men built their cities and walls and towers. The gardens, they blossomed and flowered for a time, but then started to harden as Earth started to heat up and dry. Moon sent all her creatures to gather in Earth while plotting a plan for them under the dirt. And deep in the earth her gods grew in power. The towers grew so tall they eventually towered. And when they were rebuilding, Moon's gods set forth and started the first war, the war for the earth. They fought and they fought. On both sides it was brutal, but neither could give up, although it was futile. It was not till the end when Earth started to cry and the two realized, we are killing our child. Sun looked about him and he tried with his mind to give her quick fixes, but none of them would bind. And Moon looked about and tried talking and soothing, but this was quite useless as well. That's what the truth is. Sun said to Moon, I think Earth needs to rest. Moon did not look at him, but whispered, yes, I think that is best. So quietly, slowly, Earth started to heal. Sun allowed winter, and Moon also appealed to listen to Sun as he was patient and kind. And Moon, she agreed to be honest, and with time. So, for the sake of their precious child, her hurt would unbind, and slowly, Earth's tears, they cleared her land. And when she woke up, she began to understand. What do you need? Said both Sun and Moon. We'll give you anything you need. It's the truth. Do you need more gods? Do you need more attention? Just say the word. just give a mention. And Earth was quite quiet until finally she spoke. She said, I need nothing more. I can do this alone.